that for the last 100 years have been obscured and taken away from public knowledge because of the interest of the new world that we have in application today. I have divided these 3 sessions into 3 different topics. The first one today is centered about more theoretical issues, foundational issues. I want to let you think about these matters in a different way. This afternoon we will discuss the model of Muamalat. What is the tools, what is the actual way of Muamalat, and tomorrow we will speak about implementation. The topic of today is Sharia currency and Riba, but I was tempted when I was writing it to call it Muamalat versus Islamization. This is because what is at the heart of these issues is to discover that there is an Islamic model, that actually Islam worked, that we have not been a failure for 1,400 years, that there was an Islamic history, that Medina al-Munawwarah, the city of the Deen, actually existed, and it was the perfect model for human society. The idea of Islamization, on the other hand, admits that we don't have a model, and we are here in the business of Islamizing something which is alien. So you have banks, Islamic banks, insurance, Islamic insurance, stock exchange, Islamic stock exchange, Islamic constitution, Islamic constitution, inflation, Islamic inflation, blah, 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 forever. This is in itself insane. This attempt to Islamize a model which is entirely kafir has no parallel in any other time in history. It's only this new generation of 50 years of Islamic modernist scholars who have entertained the ludicrous idea of Islamizing the entire way of living of the kafir, including, and this is much more important, the question of economics. And here we come to the idea of Islamic economics. Well, we will come to these points later on, and we will examine these issues in great depth. But let me start from the basics of our argument, which is the gold dinar. What is the Sharia currency? Is there a Sharia currency? Well, Ibn Khaldun says the dinar and the dirham are the Sharia currency. They cannot be altered. They cannot be altered because they are part of the wahi. They are part of the revelation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned them in the Quran. And because of that reason, Ibn Khaldun argues, you cannot change their weight. They have a reality forever. The dinar is a gold coin of 4.25 grams. This is known in Arabic as the mithqal. And the weight of the silver dirham is 7/10 of the mithqal. That is 2.975, nearly 3. Dinar and dirham represent weights, not nominal value, just only weights of gold and silver. There is a third type of currency, which is the fulus. So in the tradition, we have dinar, dirham, and fulus. Fulus is not money, strictly speaking. So the fulus cannot be used to pay zakat, cannot be used to make a loan. It has only a limited value for the purpose of small change. The fulus is made of copper, typically, but it can be made of aluminium, it could be made of plastic, it can be made of anything, because it has no standards. Its only purpose is to serve of a smaller denomination below the dirham. Now, what is important about these coins is not that they are made of gold or silver, which is clearly more beautiful than paper. I mean, a piece of gold is naturally shining, appealing by itself, by its very nature. But that's not the issue. What interests us is to know what is the Islamic position on money. What is the fiqh of money? What does Islam has to say about money? And the key argument to understand this otherwise complex issue is a very simple yet very profound and very powerful ayat of Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, total clarity, tijaratun a'an taradin minkum. Tijaratun a'an taradin minkum. Trade with mutual consent. Trading with mutual consent means that I cannot come to you with a bowl of rice and say, you have to buy rice from me only, and the price of my nasi is 100,000 ringgit, whether you like it or not. Well, that is not trading. That you can call it extortion, you can call it theft, you can call it whatever you like, but that's not trading. Trading means mutual consent. Now, you have to understand what when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, tijaratun a'an taradin minkum, He doesn't say tijaratun a'an taradin minkum except money. He didn't say that. So, in other words, money is also part of trading. It has been for 5,000 years. The fact that there is a law of legal tender that says the currency in this country is the ringgit is not Islamic. All the laws of legal tender are not Islamic. All trading conducted under this law is not Islamic. This is a method relatively new, invented 200 years ago, which is the basis of another religion called capitalism, not Islam. It's another religion. Lakum dinukum waliya din is another way of thinking. It's a new theory invented in the West by bankers. The laws of legal tender are new in history. Before we had freedom. In Islam, we always had freedom. But this method of legal tender was implanted in every constitution in the world. So when these newly created post-colonial independent states called Malaysia, Iraq, Syria, etc., small, tiny, little ridiculous countries were invented, they were all given a constitution with three factors. Central bank, which is haram. National debt, which is the ridiculous idea that somebody born today in Malaysia comes to the world owing money to a third party he doesn't even know who he is. The responsibility, the collective responsibility of a debt incurred by Najib this afternoon falling upon all of you, whether you like it or not. Nothing to do with Islam. And the third one is, of course, the laws of legal tender. All the constitutions in the world, without any exception, all the constitutions in the world, they endorse these three capitalist signs of the beast. This is the sign that your country has been colonized. National debt, central bank, and paper money. All the countries have it. It is the order that it was created after World War II. It is the order that is written in the US dollar called the New World Order. And Islam is what is left after this regime has been imposed. So Islam is reduced to what the British call Mohammedan laws, birth, marriages and deaths. Economics, I'm sorry, it's nothing to do with you. That's why you have two courts, secular court and Islamic court. And that's how it is the order and how Islam was allowed to survive the disastrous event of the fall of the caliphate. So what I'm telling you is that the laws of legal tender, this thing called the ringgit, is not just a little issue. It's embedded on your legal system. It's embedded in the legal system of the world that was created after World War II. The extraordinary thing is that the Muslims who opposed these regimes disappeared. And the teachers that they remain, the ones that they have taught you Islam, are the ones that they say yes. The muftis that survive are the ones that they say yes. Because you have to know, in case there is any doubt, that constitutionalism at the turn of the century was the equivalent of anti-caliphate. All the groups that plotted against the caliphate of Islam at the turn of the century, they were called constitutionalists. To attack Islam was to be constitutionalist. The young Turks, the young Arabs, the young Egyptians, they were constitutionalist movements. Constitutionalism is anti-Islam. Constitutionalism is the tools by which the Sharia was destroyed, and it was the basis on which the new world regime of capitalism was endorsed. Now you're coming close to the idea of the gold dinar is a hot subject, don't you? Then you understand why the gold dinar is the most important political issue of the 21st century. Why the gold dinar represents the first step towards the political union of the Muslim nation. Why the gold dinar is the very tool of the end of this world system of capitalism that we have today. Now you come to understand why the gold dinar and the establishment of the gold dinar is the first priority of the Mu'minun.